All right, we are cooking. It is, I believe, the first Friday AMA in February. Yeah, it is. First Friday AMA in February. We're in the dog days of, it's not dog days of summer, it's dog days of winter. While we're waiting for the Senior Bowl to kind of get out of our minds. Combine coming up soon. Free agency here in 5 weeks. Franchise tag deadline coming up in a couple weeks. A lot of good conversations this week in Heisman. Some debates, Hall of Fame, awards, all of that drama. You can go any direction, but this is our community. We're going to do these every Friday. We're just going to post them on YouTube. Nothing fancy. We'll do some mocks. Maybe we'll do some different stuff that involves some interaction with people's teams and trades, but it's really just let's talk about whatever's on everybody's mind. It's a good way to end the week.
Hell yeah.
Talking ball. There's some conversation over the weekends, but largely the VC and a lot of the chat slows down a little bit on the weekends just because people are doing other stuff. But where you want to start, Ray? Chat. Where you guys want to go? This is your time. Ask anything, any topics you want to talk about. I'm open-minded. There's a lot we could go into if we have to structure some stuff. What you thinking?
Yeah, hell yeah. I want to see what the people are talking about. What do they want to talk about? What they want to hear?
Not Roger Craig.
Yeah, I heard y'all going on about the Hall of Fame candidacy worthiness of players, but that was an interesting conversation. But yeah, I'll let y'all have that. What do we have in the chat? Let's see what we have in the chat. Riding from Gillette Stadium to my hotel. Sweet listen. Roger Craig. Talk Sadiq landing spots that get him top 3 in tight end premium. Do you think Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon, in an appropriate tight end premium format, Scott, how high do you project him to go? Because I'm with Sean. I don't know if he can get that high. I'm not sure.
I don't think he can get that high from a consensus standpoint, just because I don't think the majority of people, regardless of the premium, are going to ever see a tight end in the same range as the elite receiver tier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all know that 2 PPR, 175, if you are a good tight end, you are outscoring the non-elite receivers. But in terms of ADP-wise, that means people have to get to that conclusion before anything happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just historically, you're probably not going to bet on the Kenyon Sadiq asset over the receiver asset that people are going to go crazy over these top 3 receivers, especially if they land in favorable spots. Like those picks, I think, are going to be pretty valuable to where you can go to the market with the 103, 104, 105. I'm not saying you can get anybody you want, but it's not a slap in the face to make an offer, including the 104 when it's all said and done. So I don't think Sadiq can get that high, but I think you could argue in the right format. I think the question is what landing spot. I mean, we have to assume draft capital has to be there. He's not going to go from a second rounder in a great spot and go challenging those top 3 receivers or Mendoza. So that's not going to happen. But if he goes in the first, I mean, you've done plenty of these mocks, Ray. Is there any landing spot in the back half of the first round that he would step into a massive role, but not just that the community would see him as like, this is Harold Fannin 2.0. This is Tyler Warren 2.0, and he's going to have that role from the get-go. Is there even any of those spots? I'm trying to rack my brain of like where those could be.
Vapad hit the biggest one. I doubt they'll do that at pick 9, but Kansas City is the ADV spot, and I love how he framed it. KC ADV for Sadiq. I think that would be one. And Kansas City picks 40th overall in round 2. I think if he even fell there, he would get steamed up. How high?
If he fell there in the second, talk about an egregious ADV rise of like a high first round rookie pick for a second round.
But it would. It would happen as the Kelsey replacement. They got the value. All 32 other teams are idiots, and Kansas City got the value. So that would be a spot. San Francisco seems like it would be a good spot. I don't know how high he would steam up. I don't think Denver would do it. People would just be like, okay, whatever. They said Evan Ingram was a joker too, and nothing happens, and it's still Bo Nix. There aren't a ton of, I don't think Minnesota, New England.
He's not going to
There are very few spots. There are very few spots.
He's not going to get drafted probably in the range to go to some of these teams that are in the top 15, maybe even the top 20. So you really got to look at like picks. Minnesota's at 18. You could probably look at like 18 and beyond is realistic. Here's one. Dallas Goedert walks and the Eagles pick him.
I think y'all
have the role.
It's not even about draft capital, y'all. He's just not he doesn't have that type of tight end steam. He just doesn't. He could be the one in this class. People aren't over the moon excited for Kenyon Sadiq. You might have a few that are, but by and large, like I've done this long enough, he's not viewed as that type of tight end. Exactly. CC said, I'll just wait and take Stowers. He's just not viewed that way. So outside of Kansas City, and it's just the narrative around Travis Kelce and Mahomes and the Kelce role, I don't think there are very many spots where he's overinflated. Like he'll just be appropriately valued as if he comes off the board as the tight end one, but it's not the same feeling as Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland from last year. It's not the same feeling of Kyle Pitts back in 21. It's not the same feeling of some of these other tight ends. So I think that he will just be appropriately slotted.
You know where it would be, and these will never happen? There's 3 spots that I could see both the landing spot and the capital would make people pay notice. 7 to Washington, 9 to KC, and 11 to Miami, which tells me people think he is an elite player in this draft, and he goes to the spot. That's what it would take. Not no pick 26 to a team that might need a tight end. It has to be, like you would agree, Ray, if he went number 7 overall and shocked the world to the Commanders, you could see it. 9 to Kansas City, right? 11 to Miami, where those teams don't even have like a second legitimate option for the most part. But it would take something egregious like that, where it's like the commitment is Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland level draft capital to a spot that doesn't have a tight end. And that's probably what it would take to even get him in the conversation. And Ray, what are the odds he goes in the top 11 of this draft? How little? Less than 5%?
Yeah.
Less than 1%?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it high right now. I would not put it high.
So if you're after the 106 or 107 and you want Kenyon Sadiq, even in the right format, he probably isn't passing those big 5. So I'll probably have a lot of Sadiq if I have a couple picks in that range, because I'm not sure what else I want to take yet. And if he gets first round capital, like there's a lot of these spots in the late teens, early 20s where I think he has a role. He probably has a role on the Eagles. He probably has a role on the Panthers. He probably has a role on the Vikings. It's just, is it a massive role where you're like, he's the tight end 6 in Dynasty overnight? Probably not.
Probably not. That was a good 10 minutes on Kenyon Sadiq. What else we got? Chat? Scott, what you got?
On Travis Hunter, Dr. B. Harris. What up, Dr. B? We talked about that on the Trinity show yesterday, but for those that missed it, we did talk to Jags. Very interesting team to break down. There's 5 different ways you can play the Jags, and there's a bunch of different value bets, some higher, some lower. But I talked about on Mannequin Chill the other night that I would be willing to pay one of these, and Shane very much disagreed with me. He did not. He doesn't want any Travis Hunter at all. If the pick has a 1 in front of it this year, he don't want Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Like, if I want to do something different with that 110, 109, 111, I don't hate betting on Travis Hunter, but I think his line was 112. Why 112 and not 111? I didn't go that far, but right. I'm maybe a little more aggressive on that. Like, I don't mind in certain spots. I don't mind betting the 110 for Travis Hunter, knowing it's probably going to be a little murky next year with everybody still on a rookie deal, everybody probably there. But we acknowledge, right? Parker Washington, a free agent after next year. Brenton Strange, a free agent after next year. BTJ. Who knows? Like, it could look way different in a year or two when Travis Hunter's up for what's his future going to be like. And I still think there's a shot that unless he's just balls out at corner, he's going to take another crack at getting receiver reps, because that's where the money is.
Right.
Look at George Pickens. He's about to go from cast off to making $35 million a year. He's not doing that at corner. You know what I mean? Just a thought. I think it's a good long-term bet, but where are you at? What pick?
You know, when we talked about this the other day, I didn't say much regarding Travis Hunter because honestly, man, I don't have a ton of interest right now, and I was extremely excited early on, but just the reality of what happened, the things that the Jags did, the moves that they made, the contracts that they've given out, the current state of their receiver room, how they played ball, what happened. I mean, if you want to give up the 110 for him, sure. I guess that's appropriate price, but I'd rather find something else to buy, especially, the one thing that I hear you say consistently about that move is even if I have to wait a year, why do I want to wait a year for a freaking receiver? Like, I mean, of all the things that we talk about, one, that there is no clear dominant alpha in that room. I mean, we looked at it on the Trinity. They're all jammed together. Week to week, the volatility, it could very much be Parker Washington this week, a Brenton Strain. I just don't, again, I don't know why I would want to do that for what. And any kind of ADV or steam for somebody drafted as highly as he was drafted, the talent profile, like people really don't want him. We're talking about the 112 in 2026. Would you give that up? And Shane saying unequivocally no. I just don't really see the point. I don't see the point, especially if a part of the analysis is I got to maybe wait a year. I'm not waiting on a wide receiver 3, 2. I'm just not doing that. I'll let it happen. I'd rather buy something more usable, something a little more real with those picks if I could.
Yeah, I think the conversation should really be not what's Travis Hunter worth. It's what's the opportunity cost of what you're buying him for. Because you're not getting him a lot cheaper than that. The person that has him is not selling him for a 28 second. You know what I mean? That they're probably willing to just say, I'll park him and then see what happens a little bit later down the road. But I do think if you have those picks, put it this way, it's a reasonable price to pay if you're telling yourself that story. I never said it was the best use of those picks. But the reason this came up is because we were doing that exercise on the show the other night where basically Shane and I alternate picks, and then when the other person's on the clock, we offer him a trade.
Right.
And more often than not, his response is, I ain't taking that. The 110's worth more than that. And I think that's, for a lot of people, the 110 in their mind, because they've played Dynasty for 8 years, the 110 is worth more than that. And then you go, okay, well then make the pick. And it's Jonah Coleman at 110. And you just pray that he goes somewhere where he'll have a chance to get on the field early. It's like, if your pick is, I'll just draft Emmett Johnson because he went in the 3rd, like, you know what you're probably doing? Waiting. Hoping. You know what I mean? So it really is, what can you do with those picks? It isn't Travis Hunter versus Jonah Coleman. It is, what do you want to do with the pick? And you probably be trying to aggressively move it for what you said, something I can use more, and I have more direct use for in the immediate future. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to sit and just wait and wait and wait and go, well, there's going to be somebody that I like there, sure. But if it's a 4th round running back that you're like, well, I guess I got to pick somebody, you could probably do something different with the pick. That's more of the exercise.
Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you there.
Here's one for you. Underdog ADP from Vapad. Any thoughts? Have you looked at it?
I haven't. I haven't looked at any Underdog ADP. I'm about to start getting into that fast draft ADP though for the rookies next week, but I've not. The only thing that I saw with Underdog ADP was how high Basil Tootin is. I think he was like RB27. I saw a screenshot of that, I think last night or today, and people talking about how egregious his ADP is right now. But I've not seen where Wilson or Alec Pierce or Parker Washington are right now. Give us some numbers, Vapad, where they at? Where those guys sitting at? I'm assuming
I didn't know that about Basil Tootin.
Yeah, I saw RB27 today.
Dude, that's wild. Because you look at his numbers from last year, like, people shit on Woody Marks for sucking. Basil Tootin wasn't much better. And people just act like if ETN leaves, this guy's about to be Devon Achane. And It's like, well, probably not. Like, I'm not saying he can't be good because he's in a good situation, but Like, you don't look at his rookie year and go, he's just waiting for a guy to get out of the way and he's going to be a superstar.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Yeah,
especially with the Quint Allen still there. Why wouldn't they bring back ETN? We'll see. But I saw Basil Tootin at RB27.
Yeah, that's just that. I mean, the margins that you're right on that bet is very little compared to the margins that you're completely nuked on that bet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he's got to finish top 20 or better. For top 15 or better for you to be. Because here's the thing. I bet you, I haven't even looked at it, but I bet you he's going around other running backs that I guarantee if they're going to have a role. You know what I mean? Like, you know who I know is good? DeAndre Swift. Now, I don't know if he'll get injured, but I'm guessing that if he has the same role, but people probably, I don't really like him because Bears could cut him and then bring in this other guy, or he's not that good. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably going around guys like that, and people are like, oh, that guy's going to be a downward mover, and Tootin just wheels up if ETN leaves.
Yeah, that's what people think. That's absolutely what people think, that it's wheels up. Michael Wilson, 72. Parker Washington, 71. Those are their ADPs, Scott.
Alec Pierce. Well, again, if you guys missed it, we talked Colts and Titan.
We literally
Jaguars
talked about
yesterday.
these guys. Yeah, we talked about these guys yesterday.
Go back and watch our segment on Alec Pierce, because I think we both agreed that, especially if Pittman's out of town, you remember that range of outcomes on Alec Pierce, right?
I sure did.
Remember that floor of 11 points a game, or
and
it was like Alec Pierce is probably a little undervalued. I think if it was me, because you have uncertainty with the Arizona offense and quarterback situation, like, I'm taking Alec Pierce over Parker and Michael Wilson. That's a little more faith in the Colts. You know, they got to have, I mean, we looked at their offense yesterday, and maybe I undersold how good it was before Daniel Jones got injured, right? And they still need to get a quarterback. Like, they still need to bring Daniel Jones back. But I think at cost, I would go Alec Pierce of those three. Just from what we looked at yesterday, he felt like, especially if Pittman is gone and he is back.
I'll just say, in that interview that Pittman had at the Super Bowl, it sure as hell didn't sound like he's going anywhere. It sounded like Alec Pierce is the one that's about to go get paid. The way Pittman was talking about him, he was, he's going to get a lot of money to play receiver. He's a great player. He could do. Pittman was singing his praises, but it absolutely did not, at least from Michael Pittman's standpoint, it didn't sound like he's the one getting shipped out of town.
Well, but think about this, right? If it is Michael Pittman versus Alec Pierce, he's probably looking at his $23 million a year contract going, I wouldn't hate if Alec Pierce went somewhere else. It's like he's trying to steam up his boy so he can go out there and get more than the Colts can afford.
He did a good job steaming him up in that interview yesterday. He was very complimentary of Alec Pierce and his skill set, and how shocked people are going to be when they see his paycheck or his salary.
That's it. I didn't even think about it that way, because I did see that, where basically that was the word from Media Row, was like Alec Pierce is going to be the guy that breaks the bank.
Oh, yeah.
But it isn't shocking that Michael Pittman's kind of like, man, I'd love Alec to go get paid on the Bills. You know what I mean? Go somewhere else.
That'd be a good fit. Alec Pierce in Buffalo, I would not mind it. I would not mind it at all. Wouldn't be shocked if the Colts tagged Pierce. Okay. I don't know.
I mean, if the money's getting to that range, like I heard 3 for 85 thrown out there, like that's about the tag range.
That's what I said. That's
I think like 27 million. Like, it might be. It's around that range. If we're talking 25 plus million a year, that ain't crazy. Here's the thing: teams don't really like to tag players, because then they have to set money aside, and it's like fully guaranteed the whole time.
You might as well.
You can't. You have to set, if the Cowboys tag Pickens, it's like 28 million, and that whatever their cap space is, 28 million gets taken off
Locked
the top.
up.
You can't restructure it, and you can't move it until he signs it. He doesn't have to sign the tag until July. So basically, that money is held hostage from February to July, and you can negotiate it, but like it's never negotiated until the very last minute. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's stupid to tag him if you can extend him, because you can usually, like, make the cap hit a little bit softer. So hopefully they don't tag him because it's probably worse off if they do that. But it's a good question. I definitely would take Pierce of those three though. If he's around cheaper than Michael Wilson and Parker Washington, give me him.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. What else we got?
Here's one, Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice would you still put him in the top 12, Ray? That whole that unfortunate incident that went viral a couple weeks ago, that just went away. Haven't heard anybody talk about it, so who knows if that's still lingering there. But aside from that, let's assume he is not in prison or violates his probation or whatever. Top 12 still? I think so. I mean, there's just a lot of question marks, but like, I think it's just compounded a lot of things. Like Rice's finish to the year, his off the field stuff, the Mahomes injury. I think there's just doubt and cloud with everything about the Chiefs right now. But if Mahomes is good and they don't draft a receiver at 9, like Rashee Rice is still the one, you know what I mean? And we've seen his usage be like incredibly good, like elite usage range. So to say he's barely top 12, I'd still put him 12. It just comes down to like, do you want to spend the same price on him as what it would cost to get Olave or Pickens or whatever? I mean, he's probably at the bottom end of that range. He wouldn't be the guy I'd want to buy if I had one bullet to fire on somebody in that range.
Yeah, I think that's how I would that's how I would feel about it. I don't know how I would feel about him being my team's wide receiver 1, fantasy football wise, but I still like Rashee Rice a lot. I don't see why there's any reason we shouldn't. I mean, he's a knucklehead. You know that. You know there's some inherent risk there, but how much of that can you really factor into the players? And I'm not going to factor a ton into it. I still like Rice. Anahola said I can't name 12 receivers I'd rather have, over Rice. He's
let's go through them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's probably 12, but again, he's in a tier where he's not super elite, but you're trying to judge every player in that tier as like which guys can ascend and have an elite stretch or an elite season.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's go through the ones that clearly are above him, like JSN's above him, Jamar's above him, Puka's above him, Amon-Ra's above him, J-Jet's above Rashee Rice. I think his body of work, even if he's in a bad situation, I think you still probably put Jefferson above him.
Yes.
CD, I think you put above him. He's been too good for too long to put CD, so that's already at 6.
Did you go Puka?
I already said Puka. JSN, Jamar, Puka, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, Lamb, those 6. Drake London's been good his whole career. I put Drake London ahead of Rashee Rice. Neighbors, yep. The market definitely has Neighbors ahead of Rice. So that's 8. That's 8. Olave, we talked about Olave. I'd take Olave over Rice because there's any risk with Olave is just as much or more with Rice. So I'd take Olave over Rice. What about George Pickens? Different risks.
In Dallas, yes. Outside of Dallas, no. In Dallas, yes. Outside of Dallas, I couldn't do it. Not without outside of Dallas without knowing where today, the answer would be no.
Okay. Well, I'm betting Dallas. I mean, Pickens will be on Dallas. It's just what's that going to look like? Whether it's ball, but I look at Pickens and Rice as like both have extremely high. Both could be top 5 receivers if everything clicked right. But there's some stuff that makes you go, I don't know if I want to pay that price. So I put them in the same bucket.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is probably as good or better than Rashee Rice, but he's on the Jets. We have no clue about his quarterback. Okay?
Rice.
I can get on board with that. So we had Pickens, Rice, G-Will, Tet McMillan. That was one in the chat.
McMillan is close, but his situation is terrible too. But it's close.
Yep. You could do more with Tet McMillan than you can with Rashee Rice.
Probably.
That's for sure.
Probably.
Igbuka is over Rice on KTC. That's one you can probably do more.
I'd rather have Rashee Rice over Emeka Igbuka.
Okay.
I'd rather.
The only other one that's in here is Nico Collins.
Yeah, Nico. You can argue that. You can. I'm not going to. I think you can go either way with Nico Collins. I think that's fair. If somebody said I'd rather have Nico over Rice, I don't think that's some egregious egregious. Yeah, Sean said it's close.
So Rice is wide receiver 13 on KTC. There's a clear tier break after the 15 we just named.
I am just floored at the Pickens. Did we not just see what he did this season in his first year in Dallas? And people just, that's one where I don't get it. Ty said in the startup, Rice went after Pickens, which I think that probably should be how it is. I don't. Where's all this? If there was a time to be scared about Pickens, it was last year coming into this year. But it's not. How are you afraid of the outcome of Pickens now after he's done it in a new location? After already showing multiple years that he was pretty good in Pittsburgh. He had 1,000-yard seasons in Pittsburgh. He just did it in a better situation. And, you know, people are still very hesitant on him. I don't understand it.
People are scared on Rice. People are scared on Pickens for reasons that they can't quantify other than they're just scared on those guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are. That's all it is. No matter how you slice it, something is. I don't know about Pickens. You just saw him go crazy this year. I don't know.
Well, and the chat is right. Like the tag on Pickens, the way that it could blow up with Dallas, like off the field stuff with Rice. I understand the risk there, but what I think you have to think through is, you know where there's risk too? Is that Ted McMillan is good and not great, and he's stuck on a shitty Panthers team that has no way to fix what they have going on. It could be what Ted McMillan was last year is what he is for the next 3 years.
We've seen it before.
If people start to see that 8 games into next year, if that's all he is, he will guess where he's going in the rankings.
How many times have we seen this? How many times have we seen that situation play out? Chris Olave, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Terry McLaurin, everybody on the right below the line, all of them. Great players, bad situations.
And it's kind of similar with Igbuka. I think his situation is better than McMillan's. But, like, what if he's wide receiver 12? What if he starts off a little slow again? And it's like, man, why isn't he out targeting Chris Godwin? And then all of a sudden, yes, on paper, he's still wide receiver 15 because you know what I know about Emeka Igbuka? He's good. He's solid. He's going to be there for the next couple years. He's going to be fine. But he's already at a range where, like, I could flip him for George Pickens plus. I could flip him for Rashee Rice plus because of the narratives. And if you could just fade that, then...
If you can do that, go do it. Go do that. Go do it
Wait
today.
till Mike Evans leaves in free agency, Ray, and George Pickens is tagged. I bet you'll be able to get a second at least on top of Pickens to get off.
So let's wait.
It's going to get here.
Wait until best case scenario outcome happens. How about we wait until Mike Evans is right back in his same role and Chris Godwin is right back in his same role and Jalen McMillan is back in his same role. I mean, it cuts both ways. It cuts both ways, right? Because both things could be true, and we don't know either of them right now. But both things can be true, and the one thing that remains true, no matter how those things play out going into it, is the enthusiasm for Igbuka is high, which means you can move him if you can. Like I would gladly pivot him to Pickens or Rice plus, gladly. Every last Igbuka share that I have would be gone if I can get either of those guys in a plus. Every last share with zero hesitation.
I think you can.
And it doesn't mean he's bad. It doesn't mean he's bad. And it ain't got nothing to do with him being bad. But you and I just looked at some stuff. I sent you something about an hour and a half ago. If he falls in that range, then I really don't care. Give me the plus. And you know what range I'm talking about.
Why you got to tease me like that, right?
Well,
makes you just want to put it on the screen.
Go ahead. You can put that on the screen. That's not giving away anything, but go ahead. It's exactly what we're talking about. It's exactly what we're talking about. But I believe his score is inside of that band that we just looked at. And if that's the case, I can find another one of those guys. May not have the same value, but if we're talking production, I could find that.
I'm with you. You failed me, said any of the rookie receivers. Where do you think they jump in? Where do you think they pop in to start?
Give me some names.
Well, they're not in on KTC yet. Okay? But when they debut, you'll be able to see, like...
Give me some names. Give me some names.
Okay, well, I already talked about that range that ends with, it goes JSN, Jamar, Puka, Neighbors, Amon-Ra, Jefferson, Lamb, London, Tet, Pickens, Collins, Igbuka, Rice, Olave, Garrett Wilson. That's that top 15 we just talked about. Here's the start of the next tier, and this is a tier break on KTC. So let's just go any choice of any receiver in this draft over Rome Odunze.
Yes.
He's wide receiver 16, so we're already at the very top of the tier. Ladd McConkey.
Yes.
Brian Thomas Jr.,
yes.
Marvin Harrison,
yes.
Luther Burden.
Yes.
E. Higgins, J-Mo, Devontae Smith.
Yes.
And then...
Yes. Like the answer.
You can argue the top 2 or 3 receivers in this class slot right in there behind the tier we just talked about, which is pretty strong for 3 rookies.
I'll also say that players like Ladd McConkey, players like Luther Burden, players like Rome Odunze, if they do come out hot and do anything, and Tate to the Giants stinks it up, Lemon to the Jets ain't doing shit, that like those guys will immediately jump them. Immediately. I knew Ladd just needed a new OC. I knew Rome just needed this. I knew Burden just needed more opportunity. If those guys did anything early on, they would immediately jump those rookies.
Here's the intriguing part. What do we know? Rome Odunze and Luther Burden, what are they in? Good environment.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey, good environment. Brian Thomas, good environment. Now, nothing about those guys says they're going to ascend into that next tier. But you're right. If they do, like Burden and Odunze is the easiest one.
Yes.
If you have conviction there, like one of those guys is going to be better than the other. And whoever it is, people are going to go crazy over whichever one it is. Whoever's the one in the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams offense, someone's going to go, I want that guy. And I'll pay the wide receiver 16 price to get him. Same with Ladd. Like if the Chargers off, I mean, you can just see it right now. The tackles are back. And Ladd just cooks with Mike McDaniel, and people are like, he's back to being wide receiver 8.
Back up. He's back up.
You can see it with those there. But explain that real quick again. The reason you want those guys is because if it happens, it is very easy to throw those guys up in the range with Nico Collins and
he's better
Chris
than
Olave.
He's better than all of them. Better than all of them. And their system is great. Look how good Ladd is. Probably could get any of those guys. That's why you do. It's like they have their ADV is low now, but it's just like suppressed. As soon as something happens, it's just, you know what I mean? It's back up. It's right back. It's not truly, their ADV is just dormant. It's not truly gone. It's not dead. They haven't lost it. It wasn't a great season, but the moment they do something, the truthers will be right back out for the victory laps on those players.
Well, I see it in the chat. That's the downside. I mean, Marvin Harrison's in there too. He's probably a worse bet, but like there's a world where the Chargers are a good offense and they're splitting it between QJ and Ladd and Oronde Gadsden and another guy, and the same with the Bears and the same with the Jags. Like there's a world where there isn't a clear one. But if there is, what Ray's saying is if it's Rome Odunze just nuking Luther Burden for the first 3 games, people will have no problem putting him up ahead of Nico Collins because, like, I knew it all along. You know, look at what he did. And you can always find that small window to point to where, Ray, that first 4 weeks of Rome, we always knew he was the alpha.
We always knew.
That last couple games of Burden, we knew he was starting to take over. Like, that's all it will take.
That's the game, right? You could see it. And I think the reason why Marv is a little different is because, unlike Marv, Ladd never had that type of expectation. It just happened. And then people were like, oh, yeah, he's good. I like him. Marv is he's a different animal. The fact that the expectations were sky high, what have we talked about for the last 4 weeks in here? Failing in the expectations of meeting or exceeding those. And what happens when people, especially in this game that we play, recognize and notice the failure. You don't like it. People don't like to see the failure. And In Marv's case, I think it's a little harder for him to get that true value back up because not only did he fail, he fell pretty hard relative to where he was drafted, and then everybody else on his team went God mode. I mean, Trey McBride broke records and he went nuclear. Michael Wilson, in a small sample size, outproduced anything that Marvin Harrison has ever done in the NFL. That right there is a hard pill for somebody who's acquiring Marv to want to even pay fair value for him. Like there's probably not a soul that plays Dynasty that's going to give you fair value for your Marvin Harrison. Like you're going to pay the you were shit tax for 2 years. Like you're going to have to eat that money. I'm not paying that tax. You got to carry that dead cap. And that's where he is. And I think in order for him to bounce back, get the steam, the juice for like universal buy-in, he's got to be real good out the gate. And if not, you'll always be selling 80 cents on the dollar when it comes to him.
Yeah. And to be fair, all those things come into play. Like McBride is better than anybody else the Chargers have. Michael Wilson did more in short spurts than Marv's ever done in short spurts. You know nothing about their quarterback situation.
Nothing.
Like there's a reason that Marv is the outlier of all those other names I talked about. Even like T. Higgins and J-Mo and Devontae Smith. Like,
yep,
they were where these guys were a couple years ago, but I would bet on their situations way before I would bet on Marv's.
Correct. I'm with you.
So he's the outlier of like, he's probably, honestly, and I like Marv. I think at some point I'm willing to buy that he's not as bad as he's shown, but he's the one guy that's basically still living in this range because of what he should have been 2 years ago.
Yep.
You can't stack up his usage the last couple of years.
I mean, you gave all those rank. Where's Marv sitting at right now?
It's that top 15, and then it's Rome, Ladd, and Marv.
Okay, so he's still top 20.
He's right there with Burden, BTJ. Like, it's literally those five. And it's funny that, like, Marv and BTJ are back-to-back. Those feel like the two biggest frauds of the list, but people just can't stomach. People can't stomach taking a 26-year-old T. Higgins over Marvin Harrison because of the age. But, like, if Marv ends up being T. Higgins, you'll go, man, he had his career rebounded. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, like, I think it's just they're both up there because of what they were. But, like, we looked at Brian Thomas. There's nothing looking at his 2025 Trinity that says he's even the best player on his own team.
Correct.
So he's still literally there because it's like, well, what happens if 2024 returns? So it's just you're squinting. But those guys, I think, could be the easiest ones to fall. You're right. If they don't come out the gates quick, if BTJ doesn't come out, if he is third in targets on the Jags after a month, people are going to forget he was ever good as a rookie because they've seen enough now. He's not what he was year one. He's probably more what he was in year two. So good conversation.
Hell
Love
yeah.
this one.
What else we got in the chat? What else did you see? Scott McMillan, DJ Moore, Nick Eamon-Warry not listed on the final injury report. All right. We'll see how that ankle holds up on Sunday.
Yep.
What else we got, chat? What else we got? See some different names in here. What's going on? What up, Rue? What up, Alec? Demo. Broncos, what's up? Dewey. Moss. Hitting some of the non-Heisman members that I don't get to see a ton. What up, Thunder? Bump. Okay, we got this. All right, we got a bump. We got a bump. We got a bump. We got a bump. Let's hit Alex real quick. Any thoughts on Zach Robinson hire as OC for the Bucs? Chandler Whitmer as QB coach to go along with him comes highly praised from Indiana.
Any thoughts? I don't mind the Zach Robinson hire.
Yeah,
I think he got kind of thrown under the bus in Atlanta a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it's great, but like go look back at Atlanta's some of their stats or their offensive stats over the last couple of years, and like it isn't something you would say, oh man, he deserved to be fired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they didn't. You know what they didn't have? They didn't have any quarterback consistency. They had Cousins coming off an injury, and then they had Michael Penix, and then they were in and out, and they had like a split of both. If you look at like total games played,
well, that's That's what he's judged on, right? Because he ain't had nothing to do with that Bijan Robinson. Bijan could have done that with or without Zach Robinson. You get zero credit for any of the schemed up touches to Bijan. You probably get little credit for Pitts. How'd the quarterback play? Like, what was the quarterback situation? How did that look? And that's what you're judged on. So I don't mind Zach Robinson. I thought he'd be back with the Rams, but we'll see. I mean, you know, my honest thought about the Bucs, man, is prior to 2024, I believe, and quote, correct me if I'm wrong, stop me if I'm wrong, Baker was good, but that 2024 season, it was by far the best he had ever played, right? It was his best statistical output. That 24 season with Liam Coen, he had 40-something touchdowns. I mean, he was the best version of Baker Mayfield that he had been in his NFL career. I think that we chase that, or that's what we like. Hell yeah, like that's Baker. That's what we should. That's the Baker Mayfield we need to be getting week in and week out. And I think a lot of that had to do with Liam Coen. Like, Baker's good, but it may never look like that again, man. Like, I'm not betting on that situation, how efficient that offense played. Everything clicked for Tampa Bay that year. He was going as QB6 off the board at points in time this offseason, Scott. He was off the board early. I think I think he's good, and Tampa Bay can be fine, but the ghosts and the production of the Liam Coen 2024 Buccaneers offense, it's so far removed from my mind. Like, I just don't even think it's a realistic outcome. If it happens, great, but I don't know, man. There seems to be a lot more things pointing in the direction of him not being that way on a consistent basis and just, being a good quarterback. But I don't think the expectation is what he did in 24. Not at all.
Well, if you look back at the year they went in the playoffs with Cleveland, and then you look at the 2023 season for Baker, go look at those 2 years. Like, that's probably the Baker that you can expect to bounce back to. The 2024 year is going to be an outlier for him. He's not going to get back to that, and I think that's fair.
Like, people want that, Scott. That's the thing. That's what people want. That version of Baker.
Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Like, we've seen Liam Coen do that back-to-back years with different QBs that both were never as good when they were before him. So I'm fine saying, okay, Baker doesn't have to get back to QB5 and throw for 4,700 yards and 40 touchdowns for me to be happy. If he can get back to QB15, QB13, and just feed the ball, 24 or 23, he was quarterback 11 in passing efficiency. I'll take that.
Where was he at in 24? What was it in 24?
Fifth. Yeah. Like, he took a step up in a range of, like, the only other guys that get there are like Burrow, Allen, Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like, he's not in that tier. But if he can get into top, when I say top 15, I mean, like, can Baker get to QB 15? And you know how he's going to get there? Not by running the ball for 600 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Like, he's probably going to have to throw for 30 plus TDs and 4,000 yards. Like, you know what I hope he gets to? The peak Kirk Cousins years, where he's like QB 12, QB 10. But more importantly, what we care about for fantasy is he can support 3 players. And it's not like only one guy. Like, that's kind of what we're hoping for. And I think Zach Robinson can do that. That's the expectation, though. I would put Baker as probably a quarterback I'd want to buy. But, like, not so I hope he gets his 2024 data back. You know what I mean? This is just at quarterback. What is he? Quarterback's 18 or whatever. So like, I can bet that he can finish a little higher.
I'm just looking. Again, I'm on Player Profiler. His highest QB finish per player profiler was QB 17 outside of 2024. I've got him as QB 17 in 2023, 17 here this past year, and then 33, 26, 25, 25, 18. All I'm saying is, I don't think I would want to be buying Baker Mayfield. I think he's probably more like that than the thing that people are chasing. And nobody's thinking about 2023 when they think about Baker Mayfield. Nobody's thinking about 2025. Man, if he can get back to what he did in 24, where he had 4,500 yards, completing 72% of his passes and 41 TDs with 3 more on the ground. That's what got him steamed up, not being a 16-point-per-game quarterback. Is what he did in 2024, and I guarantee you that's what still holds it. I will gladly sell him to you. Gladly.
He's at the bottom end of that quarterbacks you feel safe on. I mean, his KTC is quarterback.
But what do you? But why you feel safe because you're chasing 24? If this was anybody else, you wouldn't feel safe. People didn't feel safe with him prior to that. People didn't feel safe with Baker. They didn't.
What I'm saying is the guys below him are ones that you don't feel safe past like half a season. So he's at the very bottom of that tier. He's right there with Goff, Darnold.
And how do people talk about all the reason Baker is where he is because of 24. Period.
Sure.
That's why.
And because he was the number 1 overall pick. And at one point, for those that weren't playing Dynasty in 2019, like he was QB 2 overall. So people still remember, like, oh man, there's a narrative that's been crafted, and that 24 season only sustained it for another couple years. Like, there's a reason that he's there, and you're not talking about other guys that are in a similar boat. Here's an interesting one. If you really, because I don't think you can sell Baker, Ray, but I do think because of what I'm saying, he's a little more in demand for some people because they're like, if I have him, I'll bet that he bounces back a little bit. I don't need to sell him. But if I tell you both these QBs play 15 games next year, which quarterback will score more fantasy points? Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield? Pat, what do you think? I'm not saying Kyler doesn't start. I'm saying they both play 15 games, which means Kyler's going to go somewhere. Don't know where. You can do the math on how many spots potentially he could do that for.
I'll go Kyler.
Okay.
I'll go Kyler.
Interesting.
I'll go
split.
Kyler.
Sean and Cam say Baker. Demo, AJ say Kyler.
I'll go Kyler.
Not Kyler in Arizona, Maddie. I'm saying just Kyler right now, assuming 15 games. Kyler could go to the Jets, and you could hate him on the Jets. You know what I mean? He could go to the Dolphins, and you could love him. I mean, who knows?
And everybody in here talking about Baker, like, I've got no problem. People are saying I got him as my QB2. Like, that's fine. I'm talking about chasing the ghost of 24. I'm talking about I want 45 and 40 out of Baker Mayfield as my top. He was being drafted as a top 7 quarterback in redraft, not Dynasty, redraft. And then in Dynasty, there was a point after 24, you felt like, man, maybe I did luck into a legitimate top 10 quarterback because of the offense that he operates in, what he can do. Look at what happened when the pieces in the infrastructure was in place. But a lot of that was Coen. We just saw him do it with Trevor Lawrence. You know?
You might have had that. They kept Liam Coen, but they didn't.
It's just people. It's hard for people to put their mind back somewhere when you know the outcome is different. But if you're talking about a 17 point per game quarterback at the max outside of one season. Like I don't give a damn you're not going to sell me that this is some lock. This is some great quarterback in Dynasty. I mean, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He had a great 24 season, but other than that, objectively, he's been fine.
You know what the real takeaway here is, right?
It's bias in 24, but go ahead. What's the real takeaway?
Probably buy back into Trevor Lawrence still being good year after year. Because I've seen some people saying, I don't know if TLaw can repeat what he did last year either. But if we're kind of saying the same thing about, Baker will never get back there, then TLaw is probably a better bet to continue to be in there. You know what I mean? He's more expensive, but
TLaw's had multiple finishes higher than Baker Mayfield ever has prior to Liam Coen.
It's that environment conversation. You and I could talk about this for a long time.
A long time. But he has had higher fantasy finishes than Baker Mayfield ever has, multiple times. Listen, I'm not here to give him shit. I didn't give him new OCs. I don't coach him. I'm not back there I'm not giving him any of that. I can't help the fact that he's had 7 out of 8, but it is what it is. Right? Like, I'm not doing it. I didn't choose for Baker Mayfield to have 7 OCs out of his 8 years, but that's the reality in which he lives. That kind of stuff right there, that's what gets you in the dynasty. Like, oh, give him some grace, right? Like, let him figure it out. But as you're figuring it out, like, now you just got an older asset and another older asset. I get you, but that's not my place to do anything. Jalen Hurts is about to have another stinking offensive coordinator too. Y'all ain't cutting him no slack.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, ultimately, I'm not trying to decide when I pick players or who to trade or who to buy. It's like, let's feel bad or feel good about their situation that they were started in or what's happened to them. Like, that's just part of their profile. Some guys, life isn't fair. You know what I mean? Life's not fair. Some people have it better than others at certain times. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Baker hasn't taken the ideal path.
No.
From draft day to age 30. You know what I mean? But that is his path.
It is.
And if you've heard him talk, he's talked about, like, everyone always clowns the Browns for getting rid of Baker. But Baker's even said if he was in Cleveland, his career might be over. Because it was toxic, you know what I mean? You have no confidence the Browns would have ever had a Liam Coen type offense. And at the same time, he's even said, like, I needed to leave the Browns to figure out, like, my life. So sometimes it works both ways. You can't just apply the bad to Baker and say, well, if none of that bad wouldn't have happened, he might be destined to be in the Hall of Fame. And then it's like, well, he's even said that I needed that bad so I can even be what I am now.
A bunch of players have said that and have been open about some of their journeys and what they've had to go through. So say no knock. It's what is the expectation for the player that I'm trading for? Why am I buying Baker? What am I hoping? Like, what, that would be my question. Okay, what even if you said I'm buying Anthony Richardson, I'm buying Jordan Love, I'm buying Kyler, you know what my next question would be? For what? What are you buying him to do? Like, what's the plan? Isn't that what we talk about? Have a plan with some of those players. And it's just talking through what they are and what you hope to accomplish with them.
A lot of times people don't like to hear this, but you know what the plan is if you're buying any of those guys and many other players? They're just to occupy a certain spot on your team. I need a guy in that spot. And the vibes feel good with this guy over this guy.
Yeah.
In the end, what's the difference between Jordan Love and Baker Mayfield? That's probably not the spot that's winning or you losing your league across the season. Now, in a given week, maybe. But again, you're not trading for him in July because you think week 15 they're going to win you your playoff matchup. You haven't even gotten that far.
Right. Yep. Sam Darnold messed the game up. What you mean, Jackson Tribe? What do you mean, baby? Sam Darnold messed it up. Darnold, man, like, never die. Cockroach. Good for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, right. That's the funny thing about we just talked about Baker. We've seen Sam Darnold. And I'm not even saying it's not true. Like, people have really just dismissed Kyler Murray like, he's cooked. People hate him. What if he needs the change of scenery from one of the shittiest franchises in the NFL? But I think the sentiment on him is just, talk about sentiment in the toilet. Kyler Murray's a tier below JJ McCarthy.
If we were doing QB buys, I'd rather buy Kyler over go out and try to buy Baker.
Yeah, I mean, Kyler is back-to-back on KTC with Shedeur Sanders and Michael Penix. Wow. He's now quarterback 27, which is basically being priced in the I'm not sure if he ever plays again. And I look at that range and I'm going, let's see, are you sure Michael Penix plays again? I mean, he'll play. Like, I don't look at anybody around him. McCarthy, Penix, Shedeur, Malik Willis. I don't look at any of those guys as any more of a sure thing to even start for a full season.
I agree.
But I know Kyler will get a chance.
I keep saying it. Of all those, I think he is starting somewhere in 2026 from the beginning. Not in the middle, not at the end. I think he will be somebody's starting quarterback in 2026. And when Kyler's on the field, Kyler's going to score fantasy points because he always has. He can run around. He can throw the ball. He will score points.
Jackson Tribe, he's going to be the Cardinals starter.
Jackson Tribe loves that Kyler.
Hey, who doesn't like Kyler?
Is that Shane?
Anybody with any of the Cardinals weapons. They're just praying it's anybody but him.
Anybody but Kyler. Listen, you can't ignore the weaponry and their output with Kyler Murray. You cannot ignore that, no.
Yep.
Yeah, AJ, I mean, not in a bad way, but, what a mentally tough young man to be able to go through all the stuff that he did and still come out on this side of it, because you talk about a QB that was done. I mean, he was barbecue chicken in these dynasty streets. Hell, just go look at all the content creators prior to the season and how awful of a trade it was to get rid of Geno Smith and sign Sam Darnold. You're wasting money. They're going to be picking at the top. JSN is dead. Yada, 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 and they're playing in the Super Bowl. If that doesn't just tell you, man, and I'm saying this, Scott, from players that I've talked to that have been in the NFL, that have been successful in the NFL, like the margin between running back A versus running back B outside of like the high end guys is slim. Receivers, linebackers, you're talented to be at that point. That the X factor is coaching and situation. And if Darnold doesn't, like, that should highlight that. Coaching and situation, skill set, fit, deployment, creativity, adjustments. Like, there's so much more than just go out there and just go run the route. And if you're good, you'll just be able to get the ball. It just, kudos to Darnold. I don't think people truly appreciate where he was at, what he had to deal with coming in out of USC as a top pick in the draft, and to go through is, if this were Baker, because we saw this before, people were losing their minds when Baker's redemption arc started. But with this one, it seems like people are still, very slow to get aboard Sam Darnold. And I understand, but one of the things that have happened, Scott, over the last couple of days with Darnold playing well, Matthew Stafford last night announcing that he's back, Daniel Jones' injury, how many veteran quarterback values are going to be sitting out there this year? Where Stafford, like that, the best thing that happened for those people who have Matthew Stafford in Dynasty, you should be walking on clouds today that he's coming back. You might have bought him for the end of the season run and you thought all I have is another week and he's going to retire, but shit, that didn't sound like somebody that was about to retire to me. And he could still sling it. He's still got a dope offense. Like, that's a free square that you just picked up having Stafford back. If you took the chance on Darnold this year, you won. Like, that's a dub move for Dynasty. So it's interesting to see some of this stuff play out. So back to your Kyler Murray point, like, if you don't think that dude's going to get another opportunity in the league again as the number 1 overall pick, extremely talented, like, you're just crazy. He's going to get another opportunity or two.
Yeah, some fascinating narratives could come out of this weekend. I mean, that's the thing I'm most excited. I don't care about who wins, honestly. Like, yeah. I don't really have a dog in the fight. I don't have any bets or anything that I really care about. But I think there's a couple really interesting narratives with the quarterbacks, right? Like, first you got Darnold. And I know we have a couple Bills fans and Ravens fans. You know that irks them every time they read the Darnold got the Super Bowl before Lamar and Josh. You know what I mean? Because nobody's saying he's in the tier with those guys. But, like, he's here. He's exactly where you may never see those guys in their career one time. He's already there. And if he wins one, you can't take it away from him regardless of how he got there. But If he loses, I think people will go, oh, he's never good enough to. You'll hear some of these. He's never good enough to win one. This is going to be his only shot. But I think the other interesting one is Drake Maye. I think if Drake Maye loses this Super Bowl, what's he going to be, Ray? He's already, I think, third in MVP odds next year. It is wait till the Patriots just cook next year and Drake Maye he's going to win a title. And how many times have we seen this? He kind of makes a run. I mean, it hasn't been talked about, but Drake May's been awful in the playoffs. One of the worst playoff performances in terms of he wins this Super Bowl and he has 4 touchdowns. He's going to go down as man, Drake Maye won a title in year 2. You know what I mean? But really, he's not the reason they're even in the game. But if he loses, there's going to be this thought of he's only going to get better weapons and they're just going to be back there next year. One of those two is going to come true.
Yep.
But this might be one of those where this is the year Maye gets there. And if he doesn't win, he doesn't get there for another 8 years. I don't know. So, yeah, Maye can only go up. He can't get any worse. And we just know that's not true, right? If every single quarterback that had a high just ended up getting better.
Yeah. It'd be Hall of Famers littered across the place right now. So
now what if Maye wins one? You'll start hearing, man, he's the next Brady. He's the next Mahomes. You know what I mean? You'll hear that. As wild as that is, you will hear it. Drake Maye wins this Super Bowl, you will start hearing if there's the next Mahomes.
What if Darnold wins it? What are you going to hear?
That.
What will you hear? What will you hear? Great defense.
Good thing that he latched on with Seattle that carried him to the title. Even though, go look up Sam Darnold's playoff stats and Drake Maye's, and one has been carried to the Super Bowl and one hasn't. You know what I mean? It's not the one you think. So,
it's because we've seen him fail. It's because we've seen him fail.
100%.
We've seen them fail. So even when they do good, you don't believe it. You need to see. Sam Darnold needs to make 3 more Super Bowls for people to be okay, maybe he's pretty good.
And the celebration, if I'm Sam Darnold, he's too humble to do this. If he has a good game and wins this Super Bowl, I'm getting somebody from his crew. They got to bring him out like a ghost costume. Right?
Just hearing
those, come out
seeing
there,
those ghosts,
Patriots, Patriots are seeing those ghosts now.
Those ghosts. I would do it, Scott. I would do it. Sam Darnold.
He shows up to the post-game press conference
in a
ghost costume.
He shows up in a white white gown with eyes cut out. How would that work out?
Now you gotta be a little careful. Gotta be careful. But I mean, just a tactful ghost costume.
I got you. Not that kid, not that cheap. Just put a sheet. He's got to be careful. You got to be careful, Sam. Jackson Tribe said, nah, don't do it. Oh man, get us out of here, Scott. Get us out of here, dude.
Yeah, this is a fun way to spend Friday evenings. Jumping in here, doing these AMAs, just chilling with the community. Appreciate the engagement. We'll try to mix them up. Talk some Trinity. Maybe talk some new stuff that we have working on, do some more mocks.
Oh, yeah.
But that's it. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe this weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Probably, Scott, what are you doing on Sunday? What are your Sunday plans? You hanging out with Pops or?
No, I'd probably just hang around and I don't know what I'm doing for the game, actually. I'm not a big Super Bowl party person, so I'm usually just.
I think my wife would be out of town. I think Jean's going to come over, but. Maybe we could jump. Okay. Maybe not for the game, but maybe we could jump in and BS in here a little bit on Sunday and just kind of wrap up the season. I'll be home solo, so I'm down to do that if you are, and we can coordinate. And it won't be any. We'll just be in here BSing, right? Talking Super Bowl and whatever picks, vibes, whatever we have. Maybe we can come in here and do something for Super Bowl stages. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and I may try to do a. First run of roster rescue this weekend. I'll put it in the chat. I'm going to try to got the graphics and stuff cooking, so I'll test out trying to get that rocking. But I'll put an announcement out when I need. I'm not going to be worried that we're not going to get enough submissions. So that's why I'm not putting it out now because I'll get 75 of them before.
Do not do it now.
Saturday night.
Do not do it
now.
Do not do it now.
But yeah, good stream, everybody. Good stream.
Good
If you're
stream.
watching this YouTube and you're at the end, like get in the community. I mean, this is there's hours of this every single day.
Every day.
That's it.
Every day. All right, Scott, hit the Craig bot. Appreciate y'all tapping in. Hit the thumbs up button. Like this. Everybody see on the screen. They're in the community. Join the Discord, patreon.com/allgas or ddfantasyfootball.com. I'd recommend doing it that way. If I were you, ddfantasyfootball.com, you get access to Trinity, War, and a whole bunch of other stuff that is on the way. So, did you stop it yet, Scott?
We good?
All right. Out. Peace.